Hey guys, my name is CJ. This is the Ultrahuman Ring Air, and this is the most interesting smart ring I've seen for a long time, and a lot of it comes down to its size. Let's take a look. Now we live in a world where every aspect of our lives can be logged, analyzed, and used to try improve our health and well-being through things like smartwatches and fitness trackers like Fitbit or the Whoop Band. Smart rings are no different and are an increasingly popular way to track your health.
Right. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of whether or not this is worth your money, I'd like to have a brief word about something close to my heart, which is mental health, and this video's sponsor, BetterHelp. Look, the world is an amazing place, but the reality is we also live in a world that's drastically changing with increasing costs of living, climate change, and just simple uncertainty about the future. And so regardless of whether or not you have a clinical diagnosis like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human living in this world going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach this quite often stressful life in a very different way. And this is why I'm stoked to be partnering with BetterHelp, because in my day job, outside of these walls in tech YouTube, I actually work as a family doctor or a GP in Australia, and I see patients struggling with mental health day in, day out. I know that finding a therapist can be really hard, and it's often why people don't get help in the first place. So BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp makes finding a therapist really easy because it's done all online, and by filling out a few simple questions, BetterHelp can match you with a professional therapist in as little as a few days. And the great thing is, it's super flexible. So if you find the first therapist not quite the right fit for you, you can easily switch to someone new at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Being able to access therapy online has been a game changer for a lot of my patients, and it could be for you too. So if you're struggling, consider therapy with BetterHelp. It's super easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist via the link in the description below, or simply scan the QR code just here to get started. So thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Back to the video.
Alright, so I want to start off first with the process of getting the ring sized up and sent to your door. Because once you've placed an order, Ultrahuman sends you a sizing kit, which is basically a box full of different dummy rings of different sizes, which basically match the same dimensions as the real product. Now the benefit of this is that you can wear the dummy ring for a day or so, take it with you on a normal day, take it to bed with you, take it with you to shower, all to ensure that it's the right fit. Not too tight, but not too loose either. Ultrahuman says it should sit slightly snug and not be easily taken off. And for me, that was a size 9, which is really interesting because with the Ring-Con, I was a size 11. So keep in mind that there are some variances between companies. But once you're happy, you send that information to Ultrahuman and they'll send you the real deal in a size that fits perfectly. And so once it arrives, inside the box, you've got all the standard stuff. You've got the ring, supporting documents, a USB-C cable, and of course a charging dock that only fits to the size of your personal ring. Now after putting it on for the first time, the first thing that struck me was just how slim this ring is. It's probably the thinnest smart ring on the market, and I love it because it's also got a circular shape. Perfectly circular, since the Aura ring actually has a slight notch on the top. And the Ring-Con, well, it's more of a square than a circle. The Ring Air honestly have made the Ring-Con that I've been using the last few months look completely ancient, and it's way more comfortable to wear as well since it doesn't stick out as much. The Ring Air is also slightly lighter too at 2.4 grams, which makes it really nice to wear all day and comfortable to wear all night. Honestly, it didn't take long before I forgot that I was wearing it in the first place, which in itself is really impressive given how much tech is actually packed inside. You've got a 24 mAh battery, which we'll get to in a second. You've got multiple sensors, gyroscopes, accelerometers, and LEDs to enable all the most important tracking features like heart rate, oxygen saturation, and activity. Plus you've even got a skin temperature sensor that helps track what your temperature does over time. And one use case I can see here is not only to see if you're getting sick with an infection, but actually around family planning, since females do get temperature fluctuations when they ovulate. So it could help predict or help plan for that if you're trying for a family. Now, there's not a specific feature for this built in just yet, but a little birdie has told me that this could come in a future update. All in all though, very impressive given how small it is. And that's not to say it's made cheaply either, because the ring itself is surrounded by a sturdy titanium surface that's combined with a tungsten carbide coating. And with my use over the last few weeks, it's been pretty sturdy, copying daily wear and tear way better than my black Rincon dig, whose paint, as you can see, has broken down pretty quickly. Still, you'll have to be pretty careful rubbing it against metal objects, but it's honestly looked really good so far. So build quality is top notch, and it's rated for up to 100 meters of swimming or scuba diving, and they say you can even bring it into the shower as well. Now for me, I wouldn't do that because the ring sits really snug on the finger and it's going to trap moisture in there and risk causing skin to break down or flare up your dermatitis if you're prone to that. So I'd probably recommend using shower time as an excuse to pop it on the charge for a quick juice up, not only for the sake of your skin, but actually because the ring actually doesn't last quite as long as its competition. So let's talk about that. So the Ring Air has up to 6 days of battery life compared to a Rincon or an Aura ring, which is rated for up to 7 days. And honestly, 6 days is being a little generous too. With my day-to-day use, the Ring Air has lasted about 4, maybe 5 days at best with my normal daily use in a normal week, and maybe a little bit longer if I've been regularly topping it up whilst I'm showering. So it's not class leading, but it is at least easy enough to work into a schedule, which means you won't run out of power unexpectedly. And when it does run flat and needs a charge, it takes about 2 hours to top up, which is about on par with all the other smart rings on the market. Now, one annoying thing I have noticed with the charging though is related to its dock. When connected to power, the dock's LED light is always on, regardless of whether or not the ring is sitting on there or not. Truly. Given this is probably going to be sitting on a nightstand or a bedside table, it will get a little distracting, especially at night. Now, I've seen some people stick a little bit of duct tape over it, but it seems a little ridiculous that it's even an issue. I mean, surely it can be updated so that LED turns off. But other than that, the dock will do its job. It's small, portable, it's fine. That being said though, I feel like the ring could sit a little snugger on the dock. Maybe it could snap on with magnets or something like that. Maybe just to help make it feel a little more premium. But that's a small detail. Now let's talk about the important part of any good smart ring, which is health tracking. So to get some context though, at the core of the Ring Air is actually Ultrahuman's overall goal, which is to be a central hub for your whole health. And you really understand this when you load the app for the first time, because aside from the home section, which is just all about the ring and the data, you've got a whole metabolism section, which is meant to be combined with Ultrahuman's biosensor, which can do CGM or continuous glucose monitoring if you're a diabetic. Now, I don't have access to this at the moment, but it looks really interesting because it combines data from the ring with the biosensor to get an even wider picture of your metabolic health. Then there's also this whole Discover section in the app, which looks to me like a whole wellness program with videos teaching you things from meditation, yoga, to full-blown full-body workouts. Pretty cool considering this is all baked in without a subscription. And that's apt because the lack of a subscription is another huge advantage of the Ultrahuman Ring Air. I mean, it's crazy that I even have to promote this as a benefit, but you have full access to all of the ring's features without needing a subscription, which is awesome. No features are hidden behind a paywall, unlike some competitors out there. Now there is a subscription program though, but it's called Ultrahuman X, and it's more akin to something like an extended warranty or Apple Care when you get a hassle-free replacement for the ring if it breaks or gets damaged. So if you're someone that breaks things really easily, or if this is important to you, then that's something worth thinking about. But going back to the app, it's got a really nice user interface. It's responsive, it looks really modern, and I think it's one of the best ones out right now. Now, I do think they could have made it a little more intuitive to use, because at a quick glance, it just looks like box after box of text without any clear visual differentiation between things like sleep index or your recovery score. So when you're scrolling up and down, you do need to pay attention to know what you're looking at. But each box is interactive and tappable, and then inside each section, the data is presented in a really nice way with really easy to read graphs and easy to understand tidbits. On an iPhone 14 Pro or newer, it uses the dynamic island notification system to help guide you, and that's just a nice visual touch which makes things a little less jarring. Now, one of my favorite features though is the phase response curve. Here, the app uses data from your activity and sleep and provides insight and advice about how to optimize your circadian rhythm to get a better sleep routine. So if you're someone that goes to bed way too late, it'll give you little nudges to get more sunlight exposure earlier or make little tweaks to your sleep schedule to improve your routine. And this is great because, medically speaking, changing sleep cycles sustainably requires little tweaks over a period of time. Honestly, it's really hard on the body to go from sleeping at 2 a.m. every night to then immediately switching to 10 p.m. every night without running into problems. And so Ultrahuman tries to help you develop sustainable habits and routine around sleep hygiene to improve quality. And out of all the smart rings around, I think the Ring Air has one of the best implementations for tracking sleep and using this information to guide recovery the next day. It's been really interesting to see what my heart rate and overall recovery score was like after a normal day compared to a day maybe where I've exercised too close to bedtime or where maybe I've had a little too much to drink the night before, then comparing that to how I was feeling the day after. Surprisingly, or perhaps unsurprisingly, it often mirrored how I felt, whether it be refreshed or like I'm still hungover. Then Ultrahuman would then suggest ways I could improve recovery and sleep for the next night. It's been pretty cool to see. Now, of course, whether or not any of this advice or suggestions that's given by Ultrahuman and its app is truly science or evidence-based is a little unclear, but for me, an underrated benefit with this whole program is that if it provides enough motivation to get a better routine, then that in itself is going to be helpful anyway. Because for a lot of people, just simply establishing a routine around sleep and general health could be the gateway drug people need to kickstart their journey in helping them live healthier lives. And this includes things like exercise and diet, which admittedly rings aren't the best when it comes to tracking, but it does have a relatively useful 6-axis motion sensor that gives tracking information with things like walking, or if you've done exercise, you can actually manually input that in as well. And so Ultrahuman will use all of that data to give you a movement rating, which that's more based over movement over 24 hours as opposed to focusing just on the specific exercises that are done. And so all of this information is used by Ultrahuman to give you insights on how to tackle the next 24 hours and then estimate when would be the optimal time to do things like eat or what to eat or when or how much to consume stimulants like tea or coffee, or how to optimize exercise and even determine when to exercise. There's a lot of data to sift through, and if you're someone that's also into calorie counting because you've got very specific goals to achieve, then that can also be logged in the app as well. And so all of this information then helps Ultrahuman dictate what sort of information and advice you'll be given throughout the day, whether that be little nudges to move more or just a little bit of encouragement to say that you're on track. And ultimately, I think this is Ultrahuman and the Ring Air's biggest strength. It actually provides useful advice about what your health data means and what you can do with it. There's a ton of health trackers out there that'll give you the same type of information, but what separates them is actually being able to interpret this data. And Ultrahuman makes it way easier to understand. Because at its core, the data that the Ring Air obtains seems to be relatively consistent with other smart rings. Now, of course, analyzing sleep and things like that are still highly dependent on the algorithms used, but on the whole, I don't see any major discrepancies between the Ringcon and even an Apple Watch, despite a solid week or two wearing all three of them to compare them against one another. Now, I don't have an Oura Ring to complete the comparison, but I've seen videos from other creators and they do seem to conclude that the Ultrahuman Ring Air is pretty comparable. And so the value of having a product like this really boils down to what you need and what you hope to get out of it. Because I found Ultrahuman's tracking useful to keep an eye on what my sleeping habits have been, and I've actually found the phase response curve quite a useful guide to develop a better routine. Because I feel like I'm making better choices regarding when I drink coffee, when I eat, and whilst it could all just be a good dose of placebo, I felt like it's been a pretty useful assist. So for the average consumer, I think the Ultrahuman Ring Air is really good value given all the extras and features bundled in. It's a lightweight, comfortable and convenient way to track sleep, and it'll probably live on my finger well until another product comes around that can beat it out in terms of price, features, and ergonomics. Ultrahuman have informed me that there are planned updates to add new features to the ring at a later date, again like cycle tracking for women and providing insights into cardiovascular fitness or respiratory rate, so it's promising to see that they remain committed to improving their current products too. Now I've already received a couple of firmware updates in a short time using it, which were probably more just bug fixes, but they are constantly optimizing the ring, which is really nice to see. So the Ring Air starts at $349 US, which admittedly isn't cheap and it's probably one of the more expensive ones, and it is about $50 more expensive than the cheapest Oura ring, but that requires a $6 subscription. And on the other hand, the Ring Air is fully featured with no subscription at all. So by simply using it for 12 months, you'll probably end up ahead compared to an Oura ring. Combined with the fact that this is also the slimmest ring on the market, and for me, I don't think you'll go wrong with the Ring Air. Links will be in the description below. In any case, what do you guys think of the Ring Air? Would this be something you'd consider over the Oura ring? Let me know why or why not in the comment section below. Big thanks for watching the video and making it this far. Now if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. It'll really help my channel grow, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Take care out there guys, look after yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.